Yes, sir. It's another week, which means it's another opportunity for I Am Athlete to present Paper Route. It's our weekly show, our daily show. You know, we want to talk sports, get an opportunity to talk about Victor Wembanyama. Did I say that correctly?
You did.
Nailed it.
I like to say Scooter Henderson. Is it Scooter Henderson or is it Scoot?
It's Scoot.
Just Scoot.
Yeah, just Scoot.
Is his shoulder okay?
I believe the MRI came back negative.
Okay.
So, yes.
So Paper Route, sitting here with Corey Holmes. We got Woo Out West, Ashley Nicole Moss. We're on Sirius XM, Channel 103, Faction Talk, and we're here on YouTube. It's another amazing week. Do you know what week this is out of the year?
I don't. What week is this?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I
Can we
don't.
get a
Like
fact
what
check
number?
here?
I don't keep
Like
track
what
of
number
those
week it is?
things.
I know.
I just know it's July.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here we go.
July 10th. So,
It's
Week
hot. It's hot
28.
outside, definitely.
Week 28.
how many weeks? 52 weeks in a year, right?
52.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, we're
Is
half.
that the
It's a little over halfway
little
there.
over
Little
the
over.
midpoint? Yeah, the midpoint might have been like what last week actually.
Because 25 and 25 is 50. So, yeah, we're over halfway there. So, yeah.
That's all right.
Is this year going by
23
fast?
is Flying.
Well, as I told you guys the other day on the show, scientifically there have been studies that say the world is spinning faster on its
world's coming
axis
to an
than the world is spinning faster on its axis than ever before. So if it feels like time is going quicker, that's not necessarily inaccurate. It is scientific that technically the world is spinning on its axis a little bit quicker than it has previous decades.
But minutes are minutes. Minutes doesn't change. Seconds doesn't change. I don't
That's a
understand
whole
it.
different argument. Some people will argue against that,
Yeah.
which is why time feels like it's going a little bit quicker because the access is so. I mean, people will get into the whole argument
So a
about
second
time
is faster? Then
Some people will argue
a
that-
second today is faster than a second yesterday?
some people will no, not necessarily yesterday, but if some people will argue that a second in 2023 feels a lot faster than a second in 1945. Like some people truly believe that the world and how it spins on its axis manipulates time, and some people think like you, a minute is a minute, a second is a second, an hour is an hour, regardless of the time, like regardless of the year, the decade. But some people disagree with that. So.
Before we get into sports,
You ever watch
definitely
Doctor
wanna-
Strange?
no, who's that?
You don't know who Doctor Strange is? Oh my God, Corey, do you know who Doctor Strange
I
is?
do know who Doctor Strange is.
This is the whole argument about like the realms and like we get it. That's a Marvel class. That's a different show.
Okay, well, maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow at the
different
end of
show.
this week. Before we get into Victor Wembanyama and his debut, right? 2 games out there in Vegas, the NBA Summer League. I don't know, is he off to a hot start? I don't know. Let me ask you this question, Ashley. Is the earth flat?
No,
It's not? Well, I mean, you're getting into this whole
No, the
the
earth's
axis, the earth is spinning faster. And,
no, the Earth is not flat.
I'm just asking.
No, it's not.
It's round?
Yes,
All right, cool.
if that was the case, have you ever been to China?
I have not been to China.
Okay, well, if you were to go to China and you don't fall off the face of the Earth, that's how you know it's not flat.
Ah. Why? Because they're saying that's... Oh, okay.
If you go to the other end of the earth and you don't fall off, which people have not done because people have gone to China and come back, that's pretty much evident that the earth is not flat.
Okay.
I agree.
So-
All right, Corey, let's jump into this NBA Summer League. There's a lot of storylines coming out of Vegas.
Absolutely. And it's Victor Wembanyama. He's really at the top of them. He made his debut, and on Friday night, we were expecting, I guess, maybe a 40-point game for him, but he fell short of that. He had 9 points, I believe it was 2 for 13. Yeah, 2 for 13, so he didn't shoot too well from the field, but he was a rim protector. He had 5 blocks, so that night went pretty well. And then last night, we saw him really go off, 27 points, 12 rebounds, 3 blocks, kind of more close to what I guess we were expecting out of him. But what are your thoughts? How do you look? How do you look against NBA competition? What's your?
Well, the first game, obviously, I mean, I'm somebody who kind of already knew that Wemby was going to be a project. I know that there was a lot of hoopla around, him during the draft and where he was going to fall. And then ultimately when the Spurs got the first pick in the draft, everyone was saying it was going to be a perfect match. And I know everyone was focused on the enamory of it all, but I think if you really watch basketball and you really understand the differences between the American and European game, and also look at the landscape of the current landscape of the NBA currently, you knew Wemby wasn't going to be ready right away. I mean, he needs to put on weight. You can see that even when he's on the baseline, when he's in the paint, he loses his balance very easily. It's very easily to bully him around. It's very easily to be defensively stronger than him. It's just a different type of game. And then also, I mean, a different type of game in terms of what is required of his body than when he was playing in Europe. And then also the American game is different. You know, he was playing in France, and granted, they are playing with grown people, grown men in, you know, the Euro League. So I think that's one of the reasons why developmentally their understanding of the game and mentality may be a little bit tougher than, say, a guy coming out of college. But it's a different type of game. So that adjustment was always going to be there. I always said it was going to take a whole season to really see what his potential. It was going to be a whole season, rather, to see his potential become reality. I think you're going to see a lot of growing pains in this first season that he has. And the game on Friday didn't surprise me. And the game on Saturday, he looked a lot better. But it's going to be very up and down with him. He's not 100% ready to play in the American League. And I don't think anybody who really understands the game of basketball thought that he would be.
So I will say this, Ashley. After the first game, I would have agreed with you, right? I mean, we're talking about an underwhelming performance. And we're talking about, you know, all the excitement around this guy. You had Jerry West sitting courtside. You had J. Cole sitting courtside. You had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar sitting courtside. This was the biggest debut since Zion Williamson, since the Ball brother, Lonzo Ball, right? Like, everybody was at Summer League waiting to see what these guys were going to do. In that first game, I think it was to say that it was great why he had 9 points, right? And he was being bullied. But there were some things that jumped out for me, if you really watch, was like, oh, this kid has an opportunity. Now, I don't think he'll reach his full potential right away. And that may take a couple years. And I don't think he'll be dominant, to your point, in year one. There will be some growing pains, but I do think that he'll be able to contribute in a major way because of his skill set. The dude's he's 7'5", right? And if you look at the first game, his defensive presence, right? We talked about the blocks. I think it was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Isaiah Thomas when he sat down with them and did an interview with them out in Vegas, where he's like, it's hard to get 5 blocks, right? Like, if he averages 3.2 blocks a game, he'll lead the league in blocks. And it just seems to be easy for him to be a dominant rim protector, obviously, because how tall he is. Passing, right? Like, now bigs, when you think about passing, you think about Joker. If you watch that first game, there were some special passes that he had. Like, it's like, yo, this dude really got it. I mean, we're talking about underhand passes, no-look passes. And then he also seemed really confident and comfortable doing that. His poise. Britney Spears, we talked about that, and his first performance. After that, he said, I have to get better. I have to adjust. And that's important, right? A lot of guys come in and, they feel they got to live up to the hype right away. And you saw his poise at as a young man, 19 years old, and his handle for a 7-footer. So those are the things that jumped out to me after game one. Game two, obviously 27 points. And he seemed to be more engaged, and he took the game to them. Now, I wouldn't even say the game, more like the fight. Like, you saw after one bucket where he did the little, like, muscle thing, where he's like, all right, y'all not going to bully me today. And so I think this dude has an opportunity to contribute in a major way in year one. I was shocked at how he bounced back after game one. But game two, he did some special things. And we saw why the Spurs took him number one, and why everybody think he's a generational player, once-in-a-lifetime type player.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that anyone doubts his potential and the ability to bounce back. I mean, obviously it was impressive, but also remember, you're bouncing back in the summer league. You're not playing against a lot of the guys that you're even going to play against during the NBA season. These guys are trying to make a team.
That's true.
Not all of them were draft picks. Not all of them are going to be on a roster. So it's not a true representation of what his day in and day out is going to be when the season actually starts. When the season actually starts, now it's going to be interesting for me how Popovich manages his minutes and where he plays him. He's not going to necessarily play him. He has the height of a center, but he doesn't have the build of the center. But even if he plays power forward, most centers in the NBA can teeter between the 4 and the 5. So day in and day out, you're going to be playing against a Jokic.
Yep.
You're going to be playing against a Giannis. You're going to be playing against an Adebayo. You're going to be playing against a Brook Lopez, a Steven Adams. We're talking about some of the biggest, strongest guys in the NBA. That is going to be an awakening for him that he physically is not ready yet.
I think that's the trick, though. I think that's where he'll set himself up for failure. I think that's where Pop will set him up for failure and his team up for failure if they think that way. Right, we're saying that we've never seen a guy like this before. So what does that mean? He's 7'5", he can handle the ball, he can pass, he can do so many things. I don't know, kind of reminds you of KD a little bit. There's some movement, some of his skill set.
KD's a better shooter than he is.
Yes. So I say that because put him in position to win, right? I think this is where it's going to take maybe a few years for him to be able to step up to those guys or play against those guys that you just mentioned. But he can still come in and contribute in a major way.
No, I'm not discrediting that. Yeah, I'm not discrediting that at all. I agree with you completely. With the Spurs, he's going to be the focal point. But with you being the focal point, the Miami Heat aren't going to take it easy on you because you just got here and you're trying to figure it out. When they put Bam Adebayo on you, you're going to have to figure out how to still score points. And that's where it's going to be a little bit different than what we're seeing from him in the summer league. Because those guys aren't NBA players.
So you think Bam will be able to go out there on the wing and guard him?
We're talking,
that's what I said.
We're talking physical dominance.
Oh, for sure.
Would physically Brook Lopez, Giannis, what do you think Wemby's going to do against a Jokic?
See, that's what I mean. That's what I mean by setting him up for failure. If you think you're going to get in the paint and bang with him and try to play that type of game, but if he goes out there, you saw him. A lot of his buckets came off of pick and rolls, right?
Right.
At the top of the key, mid range. So play that game. Right, and then also he put the ball on the floor, taking it between his legs, pulling, shooting.
I agree. His success is gonna come from the things that he can do really well. His troubles are gonna come from any good team is gonna take those aspects of your game away. We've seen that happen in the NBA across the board with some of the best players. We've seen it happen to Steph Curry. You have to take away certain aspects of the game that you know they'll be able to go ahead and do for 4 quarters. He's not there yet to where he's going to be able to combat those things is what I'm saying. But the reality of the situation is I don't think that anybody should expect him to be able to do that is my whole point. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a growing pain. You're going to have really good games from him, and you're going to have horrible games from him. You're going to have mediocre games from him. He's not 100% ready for the American game. And the whole hoopla around him as a draft prospect was because of his potential, because of all the intangibles that he has and all the player comps that he can be compared to is what made him this polarizing draft prospect. But people tend to take that and apply it to, he should be ready to go straight. That's not how that works. Yeah. It's very rare that a player comes from the draft and is NBA ready day one. It's very rare.
I agree, but I do believe he'll contribute in a major way just because of his position, right? Meaning dude is 7'5", he can put the ball on the floor. He seems to make the right play when he's double or he has pressure, meaning how he passes the ball. And then also on the defensive side, right there. I hear what you're saying. This is not the same guys that he's going to play against in the regular season, right? It's probably 75% of these guys won't be in the NBA. But that's not changing that he's 7'5" and he's going to be in the paint. Those are problems for guys that come in there. Even mid-range, he had dudes airballing shots just by running out to him. So it's going to be interesting. After the first game, I wanted to double down on my Scoot Henderson point, take on he'll have the better career But after watching the second game, I gotta backtrack a little bit. It's going to be interesting watching him this year. But I will say this, Ashley, you're probably right. A lot of growing pains. It's going to be some games where he'll have big games, and then there's some games like, what the hell did the Spurs sign up for?
Yeah. Well, I want to ask both of you guys this because you guys seem to have different expectations for Victor Wembanyama, right? And for the most part, the reaction to his performance on Friday was like, oh, what was this, right? Because we're expecting him to be the next coming out like a LeBron James of some sort. So I want to ask you, like, what are you expecting out of him this season? Because he's facing the obvious challenges of stature and maybe even where he'd fit in from an offensive standpoint. So what are you expecting out of Victor in year one? And I want to ask you guys the question too. Are expectations too high for Victor Wembanyama? On which side of that do you guys stand on?
They're too high.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I'm expecting from him is development. I'm not expecting this, sensational winning season for the Spurs. First of all, the Spurs in them as a team, as an organization, are not a championship team. They're barely a play-in team. Like, let's be honest. They're barely a play-in team, but that's okay. Everyone knows that. They're not in that space yet. This is a team that is going through and has been going through a rebuild. Trying to figure out their identity from their championship era of Ginobili, Parker, and Duncan. And when DeJounte Murray was there, you thought that maybe this team could be, and that didn't happen. So they're trying to figure out their identity. This is the way that they're going to start building that. This is the foundation. Wemby is the centerpiece of what the Spurs will be for many seasons to come. With that said, I'm just expecting development. I'm expecting him to get stronger. I'm expecting him to get more balanced. I'm expecting him to get more familiar with the American game. I'm not expecting a miracle. And I think that going back to my first point, people get caught up in the draft magic and just all the hoopla surrounding him. And that's great because there is so much. He's going to be sensational. There's so much about him in one player that it's hard to not see the potential of him. With that said, it's not going to happen overnight. So for people who think that the potential and, the aura and just the magic that has surrounded Wembanyama this entire draft process means or equates rather instant success have not been paying attention. He is not ready to take the league by storm yet, and that's okay. It was always going to be a project. The allure of him is what he can be. He's a mixture of KD, Porzingis. Like, that was always the appeal of him. It's very rare that you get a LeBron James who can go straight into the NBA and he's ready to go. It's a different situation, and that's okay. So I'm not expecting a miracle from him. I'm just expecting him to get better than what he is right now.
I'm glad you brought up LeBron James. If you go to his rookie year, 2003, 2004, he averaged 20 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. He was rookie of the year. I think that is the benchmark for Victor. I wouldn't be surprised if Victor had the similar stat line. If he averaged 20 points, if he averaged I wouldn't say 5 blocks. That's way too much. But let's say I'll go over on rebounds, right? So maybe 7 to 10 rebounds. And then on blocks, I'll go 3.
Why is that your benchmark? I'm curious.
Because when you say this is we've never seen a prospect like this since LeBron James. I think that's the commentary out there.
In terms of just the
everything.
Noise surrounding him, but they're two
him.
Drastically different players.
100%. But we're talking about once in a lifetime player.
Okay.
We're talking about something the league has never seen before, right? Like LeBron had his own space. Victor's going to have his own space, right? 7'5". He can handle the ball. Got to get better at shooting. What did he average? Like 30? What is he, like 33% from the field or something like that?
Roughly, I don't know off the top of my head.
Got to get better there, but the dude has tremendous upside. All right, if this dude can potentially be the face of the NBA in years to come, then I expect his first year not to be sensational, not to take the league by storm, but I expect him to come in and contribute in a major way. 20 points is not far off for a guy like, I mean, hell, he'll get 5-6 putbacks by being a 7-footer, right? So I don't think 20 points is far off. I don't think Rookie of the Year is far off.
It's not, but I think that we also venture into dangerous territory when we compare him to a LeBron or LeBron's rookie experience or even a Zion and all the, magic that surrounded that, because they're different type of players. They have different type of bodies, and they also come from a different type of game. Think about LeBron played American high school basketball. A lot of the guys he played against during those years were drafted either before or after them. He was playing against those guys. The same thing with Zion. He came from Duke, one of the best programs in the country. He was NBA ready. That's like
Did you see who Zion played against in high school?
No, but what I'm saying is
I know you talked about Duke for 1 year.
No,
but Zion was playing in South Carolina against.
That makes a difference, though. Zion came out of one of the best programs in the country. Those guys come out of Duke. Duke is one of the best programs in the country.
Okay, Duke, but his 4-year when those highlights.
I'm not talking about high school. I said high school for LeBron because he didn't go to college.
Right.
Zion came out of Duke, which those guys most of the time are NBA ready. That's like coming out of Kentucky. That's like the equivalent of coming out of Alabama as an NFL player. Like that's basically the NFL. It's a different level of just structure and a different level of being molded, of preparation. So when you do get drafted, that transition's not as hard. We're talking about somebody who's coming from a different country, a different league that plays different rules, that different body types have different levels of success. He has to adjust to not only being smaller in size than everybody around him.
But who are we to say?
Also a game that he's not familiar with playing. The expectation should not be the same of a LeBron James and a Zion.
Who are we to say that the NBA is still dominating basketball globally? Right?
I'm not saying it's dominating. I said it's a different game.
Look at the last MVPs. Was it last 3 or 4 MVPs? They're not from America.
But they've been playing the American game.
Huh?
There may not be American of nationality, but they've been playing the American game for X amount of years. Giannis has been playing in America for how long? Jokic is 7-8 seasons.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
Luka's,
is,
4 seasons?
Basically what I'm saying is, when you look at Victor, and yes, he's from France.
Right.
Okay, different game.
Right.
Still a good game. Right?
I'm not saying the game is less than. I'm saying it's a different game. So he doesn't. You can't compare him to a Luka and a Jokic.
And one thing that translate right in travels is a shot, right? And I know he's not the greatest shooter right now, but he has the potential to be a really good shooter and really efficient.
Course.
Another thing that travels is also how tall he is, right? Another thing that travels is for him, like his impact on the game is not going to be necessarily 30 points a night. It could be just getting his other guys in position. The way he passes the ball, to his decision making, it definitely stood out to me in the first 2 games.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying the expectation needs to be different for him than a Zion or LeBron. Their experiences are different. And when I compare it to the American game, I'm not saying the American game's less than. They have rules that I wish we implemented in the American game that I think that makes that game a little bit tougher and more defensively opening than I feel like we have in the NBA. There's a lot of positives about the EuroLeague. I'm simply saying that unlike a Jokic or Giannis or Luka, he doesn't have the benefit of time on his side right now. Those guys have been playing in the NBA for a long time. Yeah. So they have adjusted to the way that the game is played. So they may take aspects of that Euro League and that Euro, growing up playing that version of the game and implement it into the American game 100%. You see that. But Victor just got here. It's going to take him some time. So I agree. He will be the focal point of the Spurs.
Will he be Rookie of the Year?
I think it's a high possibility, but I think Scoot has a good chance to win it.
I love Scoot.
I think Brandon Miller has a good chance to win it. And again, those guys have been playing in the U.S.
I know.
Those guys physically are NBA ready.
Give me Victor's season-ending stat line. Brandon Marshall here, Ashley Nicole Moss, Corey in the cut, Woo Out West, BC in the booth. We're on YouTube streaming. We're streamers, okay? We're broadcasting on YouTube Monday through Thursday. Faction Talk Channel 103, Sirius XM for all of our listeners out there. Don't forget to listen to us. make
I'm
your
gonna
drive a
go
little easier.
Points per game, I would give him a range of anywhere between 15 to 20.
15? No, that's too broad. Come on, pick
15 to 20 is not. That's not. Why'd you say 15? Like that's a small number. That's not a small number for a rookie.
I say it's realistic.
That's realistic.
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna get a lot of rebounds because I feel like he's gonna have a hard time in the paint. People are gonna be bullying him. I think his highest.
I love his hustle.
He has great hustle, but I
Need him
think
in double digits.
they're gonna.
Did you see how he was attacking the boards? Just like even his own putbacks, following his own
He's
shot.
not gonna be attacking the boards like that when Jokic is breathing down his neck.
Jokic, you think Jokic? You like
Or
Jokic on the defensive side? Jokic don't play no defense.
He's a rebounding animal.
He's a rebounding machine. Like that's what he does.
But he ain't playing no defense.
I'm talking about when we talk about rebounds, you have to be on the boards. He's not going to be getting 15 rebounds a game when Jokic and Aaron Gordon are hitting him from left and right. That's not, you know what I mean? Like, I think assists and points are going to be probably his biggest numbers. I don't have him averaging more than 20 points a game though.
Will he lead the league in blocks this year?
That could be a potential.
3.1?
I wouldn't be mad at taking that bet.
Last year it was three even, but it was Jaren Jackson.
Yep, Jaren
from
Jackson
Memphis.
from Memphis.
Yeah.
Okay. Jaren Jackson's strong though.
I want to ask y'all this though: would this be a more realistic expectation for him, or rather a better benchmark in comparing him to the greats in his first year? The amount of wins that the Spurs improve in, wouldn't that be like a good benchmark? You'd say.
I like that
because LeBron James, when he came in, the Cavs were horrible. The next year when he came in, they didn't make it to the playoffs, but they improved by 18 wins. Is that like more like could we come up maybe with a number that the Spurs need to improve by, and then if
what was the record last year?
Then I think that'd be a good successful year for.
I agree with that, Corey. Wins and losses the number one stat line.
I think the Spurs, if obviously the Spurs get better,
they're the worst team in the NBA.
Right. So there's nowhere to go but up.
Right.
So they can't get worse.
What if they still in the bottom three? If they're still in the bottom three, then I don't know if this was a successful pick on there.
Who else do they have, Ashley? Who else do the Spurs have?
They have Jeremy. Drawing a blank on his Sherwin.
You like him?
Yeah, he was a rookie last
year. With the colored hair.
You like him?
I haven't seen enough of him play to be familiar with it. Obviously, I haven't watched Spurs games in a very long time.
What the hell the Spurs been doing? Just tanking just for
they have a guard.
They do. Yes, they do have that.
It's Vassell, and they have another one.
Vassell. I like Vassell.
I like Vassell, and I like he's number 0.
And they got Pop. You think Pop?
I do like Vassell.
Pop still got it?
I mean, Pop just signed an extension for 5 years. So
what is it? 5 for 80?
Yeah.
But does he still got it?
Keldon Johnson.
Yes, I like him too.
He's legit.
I think the Spurs are gonna improve.
Yeah.
I truthfully would not be surprised. Let's maybe break down the West in my head real quick.
He averaged 22 last year.
We got Denver, Memphis, Golden State, Let me see the top.
Lakers, Suns.
Let's go.
Clippers.
Denver, Suns, Warriors, Grizzlies. You have Lakers. You have Clippers. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a play-in team.
I mean, the Thunder's going to be a problem too. That's the team that they're going to be battling.
The Thunder. I'm not worried about the Pelicans. I'm not worried about them. Oh, I forgot Portland though.
Portland.
I mean, we're going to see what they're going to be able to.
Portland
they might get some good pieces in this.
Portland might be a play-in team though.
I think we might be shocked with what they get.
And the Scoot's nice.
They have Simons. They got a nice little. They don't have a championship squad, but they have a squad that if you had to see them in the play-in, they may give you a little bit of a.
And do we remember to include the Mavs? I think the Mavs are going to be a problem.
Oh damn! Then no, this is probably not a play-in team.
The West is loaded.
This is probably not loaded. Well, no, play-in goes up to 8. No.
10.
10.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
maybe
it's crowded. It's crowded in the West. It's
maybe
because you got the Timberwolves, you got the Jazz.
I'm not worried about Utah. No. Utah will start hot, but then they'll fall. They always do.
Yeah, no, that's accurate.
It's a possibility. Oh, the Kings.
Oh, you didn't even say the Kings? They're at the top.
Yes, it's probably not playing. Well, luckily for them, they had the in-season tournament. They can win that one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just look forward to that. Huh?
Yeah, Did we talk about that? You don't like? You don't love it?
I refuse to talk about that.
You don't love it?
I hate it.
Why?
It's just like I don't believe in playing for participation trophies. We play to win.
I think it's going to make the game better.
Who said that? We play the game to win.
Herm Edwards.
Yeah.
right.
What do you play the game for?
What are your thoughts on
to win
the
the game?
Do
Yeah,
you like it?
I don't really like it because I think that one,
You should love it.
there's no playoff like repercussions for it. Like it's not like it makes it or ramification, or is that the word I'm looking for? There's no reward for it.
Yes,
like the
there is.
reward
Do you
is
love
money.
basketball? You love basketball, right? You love the
I
NBA?
was gonna love it regardless if there's a tournament or not.
So
though.
do you love to watch the
tournament's
game?
for you.
December, November, December,
Yes.
January. You think the game is good?
But I'm a basketball fan.
You think that's a good product that they putting out?
It's not. Is it a March product? No. But as a basketball fan, I don't care about whether I watch it because I enjoy it. Like the tournament is for people like you who don't watch basketball until March. You need something to get you excited. It's something to help increase the ratings. I personally think.
No, I want to see good basketball.
Why
I
do
want
I
to see
need
defense.
to-
I want to see defense. I want to see the stars play. I want to see the stars play hard. That's what the tournament does for me.
No, it does it for you, but I hate to burst everybody's bubble. Players don't give a crap about an in-season tournament. They're playing for banners, rings, and championships and parades. You
500,000. You don't care.
500,000 to somebody who's on a
500,000?
supermax. What difference does that make? Draymond pays that in fines. Like it doesn't mean anything. That's my whole point. Like to say, oh, we won the in-season tournament, but then you missed the playoffs. Like, okay, congratulations. Like for me, that in-season tournament is pointless. It means nothing in the grand scheme of things. Like, okay, you won the in-season tournament, but you're in Cancun. You don't have a championship. There's no banner. There's no ring on your finger. Like, I'm giving $500,000 to guys making $270 million.
It works in the Premier League in soccer.
That's different.
It works there.
It's different. First of all, there's more teams and there's more clubs in the sport of soccer. And also, there's a reason to win that because when you play in those situations, depending on the cup, you have an opportunity to again enter a larger club or a larger what's it called?
Just tournament or
tournament. Like if there's actual like a reward for that. Like if you beat certain teams
so
and you
here
get
you
in
go.
there. I'm not familiar with the exact making of it, but it's not just money and a meaningless trophy. Like there's actually something that comes from that. It's different.
So the inaugural in-season tournament will tip off on Friday, November 3rd, and culminate with the championship on Saturday, December 9th. The semifinals will be Thursday, December 7th. I know you don't care about this, Ashley. And the championship will take place, guess where? At the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.
If they just wanted to do a game in Vegas, just do it. You don't
the
need to make
in-season
this fake tournament to make that
It's
happen.
good. It's good. The product is so bad. This product is the stars aren't playing. The stars aren't playing hard.
Brandon. Do you think that the tournament is going to make this is a tournament that means nothing.
Yeah.
A tournament that means nothing. Do you think that means that Kawhi Leonard is still not going to load manage in December? Do you think he gives a damn about an in-season tournament? I don't see how it's going to change the product.
I don't know what's going to happen. It'll be interesting to watch this year. But what I do know is the NBA realized that their product is so terrible. TV ratings are so low come November, December, even in January, that they had to do anything. So you need to tell these basketball players they're the problem. They're the reason why we have this in-season tournament.
But nobody's answering my question. How does this make the product better?
I think I do agree with you that there will be a Kawhi Leonard, and there may be some max players that don't care about the 500,000. They don't care about the in-season tournament, right? But everyone else, everybody else on the team, they care about that 500,000. They do care about going out there and playing harder. And I think long term, people will embrace it more. Like when you look at and you study the Premier League and their in-season tournament, like that's a big deal for them. Right now, it's so disruptive and unpopular that people are like, oh, who cares about this thing? But I do think the competitive juice will get going. And in the next couple of years, guys will go out there and play hard and try to win.
I don't.
You don't.
I think with this in-season tournament, they feel like they're solving a problem,
but it's not.
It's creating another problem.
My whole thing is like if I'm the Golden State Warriors, right? You think that like I'm gonna play if I was playing a certain type of way in November without the tournament, do you think the in-season tournament's going to make me play harder? Do you think I give a damn about an in-season tournament? I'm the Golden State Warriors. I'm a dynasty. I'm playing for a banner. I don't give a crap about a meaningless trophy. My whole thing is like, I don't understand what it's solving. Yeah, I can understand if everybody participates, then yeah, it'd be fun to watch. It'd be a great tournament. I personally don't believe that the players care.
In-season tournament championship in Vegas. Within 3 years, Ashley Nicole Moss will be sitting courtside in the in-season tournament championship in Vegas.
No, I won't.
Yes, you will. Watch.
And
then Ashley's going to be like, oh my goodness, it's so good.
I like to watch real championships, the ones that you get banners and parades
They're going to get banners for this. They're going to get banners.
They're not giving a banner for an in-season tournament.
Yes, they
Are you
will.
crazy?
Yes, they will. Yes, they
so
will.
cool.
You don't think they're going to get banners?
For an in-season tournament?
Yes.
I swear to God, if the NBA hangs
really
an
hope they
in-season tournament banner in the arena of the winner, I am going to throw up. That is so egregiously that is blasphemous. Banners are for championships that you get parades for. That is so egregiously disrespectful. Do not do that.
At the conclusion of the in-season tournament, here's some other facts. The NBA will name the most valuable player of the competition.
Oh my God.
Selection will be based on so that's a big deal.
What has happened to the game that I love? Why are we doing this?
Man.
This is like participation trophy, just culture, and I hate it. We're giving MVPs for in-season tournaments.
Prizing and league
Let's give them
honors.
rings too. Screw it. Let's put the season on pause after the in-season tournament and let the winner get a parade.
So, are they still doing the All-Star?
Yes.
They're still doing All-Star? Oh,
I'm so disgusted.
What is
by
All-Stars
this.
in February?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm so skeeved out by this. I just can't.
You shouldn't. What? Just be patient. Be patient. You probably said the same thing when they did the play-in game.
The play-in at least made more sense. There were playoff ramifications.
How did you feel
for
about
it.
the play-in when they announced the play-in? What was your first response?
The initial, because they changed the rules
Just
of the
answer the
play-in.
question.
The first time they did the play-in, it didn't make sense, and then I think they changed it the following year, like they ramified it.
And how do you feel about it now?
But I never had an issue with the play-in because it made sense. There were playoff ramifications from you knock a team out, you get into the playoff. This doesn't mean anything.
So you didn't say, you weren't one of the ones that said this doesn't make sense. Why are we doing this play-in?
The only thing that didn't make sense to me was the 9-10. I just felt like it was too much.
Like
it
ones,
was,
if they lose, they get another
chance.
chance.
Yeah, if they lost, they got another. Like that was weird to me. But the overall concept of the play-in, I didn't have an issue with because that was helping you to either not or have a chance to win a championship. This means nothing.
Another thing that we always got to think about, and you'll see our leagues become more creative in years to come. We're in the entertainment business, right? NBA, NFL, et cetera, et cetera. So with that being said, what they need is more product to sell. So this in-season tournament gives the NBA another opportunity to partner with another network on this particular product, right? Their goal is to drive revenue. Their goal is to bring in more profit. So we always got to keep that in mind, right? Like a lot of opportunities here. You know, you look at the NFL. The NFL has been able to monetize or create tentpole events that like nobody thought about. We're talking about the NFL draft, combine. They're making millions of dollars off of combine.
You watch the combine? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you watch the combine?
A little bit. I watched it.
Is it must-see TV for you?
But that's what I'm saying.
How about the Pro Bowl? Is that must-see TV for you?
No.
Do you run to your TV and say, "Oh my God, I have to watch the Pro Bowl. Let me watch them play flag football and dodgeball"?
You know what though?
Is that must-see TV for you, Corey?
Good question. You know what? No, I don't. But there's somebody out there who does.
This is just backwards. Like,
there's a lot of fans out there that will watch anything.
We could have used this energy to make All-Star Weekend better.
Yeah.
to revive All-Star Weekend. Make the All-Star game an actual game again. Like when Kobe Bryant and those guys were playing, when they actually played to win, or when Jordan was in the All-Star game, or when they played to win, they were playing defense. They played an actual pickup basketball game, not playing a bunch of points and then in the last 5 minutes going ahead and playing some remnants of defense so it looks like we didn't just throw the game away. Why don't we fix that instead of giving us a meaningless in-season tournament so we can start making teams who don't win anything feel good about themselves?
Hey, side note on the All-Star weekend, right, or week rather, I heard somebody present the idea of one-on-ones, like actually one-on-ones between the NBA
Why don't we do that?
Cool, right? Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's have Kyrie versus James Harden one-on-one, best of 10. Why are we doing this?
Centers, forwards
that's
forwards,
the new.
like that.
We got to talk about this. There's a new women's league that's coming out this year. Few players are behind it, and they're going to do like 1-on-1 and 3-on-3. It's going to be some cool additions to what they're doing. I would like to see 1-on-1.
Let's do that. Let's do that in Vegas. That I would pay to see.
Yeah, right.
James Harden, Kyrie, best of 10. That'd be sick.
James Harden
versus Kyrie.
You think James Harden has a chance?
You know, James Harden's a pretty good 1-on-1. Well, at least back in his day, he was. That was just the first matchup that came to mind.
If his shot is hitting, I think it's a good matchup.
Hell yeah. That'd be
LeBron and KD, who you got?
KD.
Isn't that crazy? I think I would. I know. I think KD popped into my head.
LeBron or Giannis?
Probably LeBron.
I don't know.
You 1-on-1?
Yeah. 1-on-1?
I mean,
Giannis is a cheat code. He's just running to the rim and dunking it every time.
Giannis or Joker?
But I feel like LeBron has a little bit more in his bag.
No, he does, but you have to hit every single shot.
That's
because Giannis
true.
is
That
just
is
gonna
true.
drive to the rim.
LeBron or did I say Joker?
That'd be a
LeBron and Luka would be. Did you say that already?
Giannis or Joker?
I don't think there's anybody who could beat Giannis.
Jokic is slow, so 1-on-1.
And Giannis can't shoot, so you say Joker's slow. He don't have to go out there and guard the.
Remember, 1-on-1, you can't pass the ball. You're the only one who has the ball in your hand.
And there's a lot of space. I think that's what we should point out.
I'd lean towards Giannis still. Like, not by much. I would lean towards Giannis still. But, like I said, not by much.
Ja Morant or Kyrie?
Kyrie.
Not even close?
Kyrie has the best handles, I think.
Luka or LeBron?
That's the best matchup right there.
That's a good matchup.
Why are we not doing this? This should be...
This is great.
This should be the thing.
Vote, right? Let the fans vote on the matchup.
This should be... No, like, you have, like, East, West, right? And you put them in those giant bin thingies that they used to do the lotto with, right? And you have them spit out random matchups, and whoever you get is your matchup. Okay. So like all the players from the East, all the players from the West, and you do maybe like 10 matchups.
Tally it up, and whoever wins.
And it's all random, not fan vote. Maybe you do like, and then it's rounds, like it keeps going, and maybe you have the fans vote like in some capacity, but do like random matchups at least for the first round, and do like a best of 3, and then. Or however you get until you have 2 standing, one from the East, one from the West, and have those 2 battle it out, and whoever wins is a champion. That'd be sick.
It would. I just know that it'll probably end up being like a center versus a point guard. Like that's why I would want.
No, you have to organize them by position, like East versus West, but position based.
But you almost gave me the idea. Then you could just go with those 1-on-1 matchups, tally up the score from East and West, and then
stop running from the in-season tournament. You guys are gonna love it. You're going to love it, Ashley. I can't wait to hit up Ashley in December. You know what?
I'm not going to.
You know what?
That.
We're going.
I'm not going to that.
I'm going to be sitting courtside. And you're going to have your popcorn. You like popcorn?
I love popcorn. Not with my in-season tournament.
I love this. Oh, my goodness. I didn't think this was going to be so good and make the game so much better. You're going to love it.
The game doesn't need to be better for me. It's fine where it is.
Really?
It's the casuals like you they're trying to appeal to.
Definitely a casual. I'm not watching... Well, you know what? No, this year I'm actually going to be watching in November. But usually I don't watch till March, April. I start watching in March, following along.
You don't even watch college football, and that's your sport.
Oh, no. I'm not watching no college football. I watch NFL. I like high school football. I like basketball come April.
How did you skip college football
because it's too
and from
much
high
going
school
on. It's
football.
overwhelming. There's
High school football's not overwhelming to you?
No, like you go to the right because like it's local games, right? Like I'm talking about in person.
No, I'm talking about watching it.
No, it's amazing. Like you go to a local game and you see some of the kids that you've watched grow up, or some of the superstars in the area. It's a really good game. To me, that's the purest form of football.
You don't like watching college and seeing the guys that are next up? Like,
it's too much going on. The game is trash to me. Like I don't like the like offensively. You know, it's like the quarterbacks drop back. They look at one side. They have 2 reads, 3 reads, and that's it on one side. It's trash. Defensively, I don't even know what these defenses are, Corey. What is like 3-3-3?
What conferences are you watching?
Damn.
SEC.
Like, yeah, what are you
it's
watching?
Good football in the SEC. Like good pro-style
SEC has
football.
good football.
Good pro-style offenses.
You don't think the SEC has good football?
I ain't watching none of those games.
You don't watch Bama? You don't watch Georgia? You don't watch
None
any
of
of
them.
those?
None of them.
It's
You watch
unfortunate
Bama wins by 30, 40 every game.
No, not.
You
not
weren't
as of
watching
late, not as
Clemson
of
back in
late.
the You weren't watching
Georgia
Clemson
maybe
back
now.
in the day?
Same thing.
You weren't watching Ohio State?
No, LSU.
So what I would watch is let's say
When
like
Zeke was on the squad, you weren't
Fiesta
watching the
Bowl,
Buckeyes?
Fiesta Bowl, Sugar Bowls, those type of games. But I'm not watching week 1, week 3, week 5. Games is trash. Come on, Corey. You know that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Would you rather watch high school or college,
No,
Corey?
definitely watching
He
college.
said, hell no.
Yeah, no.
You like college over high
Yes,
school?
Yes, I understand what you're saying. If you're embedded in the community and you know some of these guys that are coming up, then yeah, that high school football is cool to watch. But yeah, if it's not STA, if it's not St. Thomas Aquinas High School playing like the number 1 or 2, 3 ranked school in the nation, I'm not watching it now.
Interesting.
Some of the games that they do down in Texas are pretty good. Those Friday Night Light games, they're
Yeah.
okay. They're like
Yeah.
better than like
But all them Texas schools don't even want to see these Florida schools.
like back in the
down
day
here,
when
so-
Archie Manning was
Ain't
playing.
that right, Will? Yeah.
That was cool. Archie's his name, right? The son.
Archie, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
When he was playing in high school, those games were pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, no.
But I mean, that's once every blue moon. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, we began this talking about Victor Wembanyama. Any final comments on Victor Wembanyama before we move on?
let's move on. What else do we have?
Well, before we move on, if you're the Spurs, are you shutting them down in the summer league?
Yes.
Yeah.
How many more games they have? It was like another week out there?
Probably
two
only
more.
like 2 more games.
I think it's
but-
4 total.
but are you
Why do you
risking
shut
it?
them down?
Because we have training camp,
Why risk it, right?
and he's got to train until training camp, and then we have preseason, and then we have the regular season. Why risk it
I'm
to
not
play
shutting
against?
them down.
Why risk it to play against guys who may or may not be in the league? You're drafted.
It's American. What you say?
He has a whole
the American game.
He has a whole season to learn the
Need you
American
get caught
game.
up right now.
No, he's not gonna get caught up in 2 games. That's cool. You can shut it down.
Okay.
So
All right, well, moving on, guys. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Dwight Howard, we talking about centers, right? Dwight Howard claims that when he was in his prime, he was better than Nikola Jokic. And I got a quote from him here, too. He says, I was getting 38 and 20, 45 and 18, 19, 20, and I'm doing all of this with 2s, no 3s, all 2s. I'm doing this with lobs. I'm not getting a lot of people post-up attempts like Jokic. He's getting way more opportunities. What are your thoughts on this? You think prime Dwight Howard is better than Jokic?
no. I think prime Dwight Howard was defensively better than Jokic for sure. For sure. Offensively, no. I mean, we're talking about maybe Dwight Howard had a couple of seasons max with the numbers that Jokic puts up nightly. Mm-hmm. And he averaged that maybe 1 or 2 seasons of his career. Also, we have to look at the landscape of the game. When Dwight Howard was playing, there weren't nearly as many dominant big men as there are right now. Yeah. And not only dominant, but versatile big men. Big men who not only were in stature huge, but could also shoot. Mm-hmm. That's not what the landscape of the league looked like. So any of those points that he was putting up on guys that were around his side.
Paul Gasol.
Okay, name me more.
Both of those guys were kind of power forwards.
Yeah, and they were power forwards.
The Lopez brothers, they were guarding each other.
You're okay. Who else? What I'm saying is there was no.
You're saying back in Dwight's day, there weren't no dominant big men?
I didn't say that. I said there weren't nearly as many dominant and versatile big men as there are now.
I would say versatile.
might be accurate, yeah.
That's what I said. Nearly as many dominant and versatile big men as there are now. We're not just talking size.
I'm not a huge Dwight Howard fan.
We're talking guys who can do multiple things, including play a center position, but they can.
Yeah, but that's not the conversation. I'm not a big.
You have to look at that though to analyze his statement. The landscape of the league matters.
Dwight Howard, I think he's probably one of the most disrespected.
I agree with
players ever.
Yeah, he should have been in the NBA top 75. I 100% agree with that.
I think he's off here, but not far.
Me either. I don't think he's far off. Like I said,
like Dwight Howard was that guy.
I agree with you completely.
He dominated. It's a total different game, right? His game compared to Nicole Jokic. The Joker is a better basketball player. Mm-hmm. He'll have the better career when it's all said and done if he stays healthy and he continues to work. But Dwight Howard is not far off here.
I'm not saying he's far off. I'm saying he's not better than Nicole Jokic. Was he defensively better? Absolutely. Was he an absolute monster on the court? Absolutely. Should he been NBA top 75? Absolutely. Was he snubbed and disrespected by not making that list? Absolutely. But offensively speaking, he was not better than Nicole Jokic. And also,
what makes you better offensively, though?
He couldn't score like Jokic.
Well, if he's averaging, like he said, 38 in this, 40 in
he averaged that maybe 1 or 2 seasons of his entire career. Jokic does that nightly.
Well, I mean, Jokic, he's been doing this for what, 2 years, 3 years?
I mean, I can go ahead and pull up his numbers for you right now.
Remember, he came in a chunky boy.
I got Dwight Howard.
Joker came in.
Dwight Howard averaged 15 points in his career.
He had multiple seasons where he
had multiple seasons where he scored more, but his average was 15. Nikola Jokic, I believe, averaged 24 thus far, right?
Sounds about right.
Right, 24, 25 points.
So Dwight Howard's best season was in 2010. He averaged 22 points, 14 rebounds. That's pretty good. I mean, and then the year afterwards, 22. He averaged 20 points.
Embiid averaged 33 last year.
Yeah, I know. Because they all contribute in different ways.
But also, like I said, great player, not better than Jokic. That's not a knock. We're talking about the MVP.
Fight for you, Dwight.
We're talking about the MVP here. That's not a knock. The 2-time MVP, almost 3-time MVP, the world champion Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
Not taking a knock from you, Dwight Howard. Mm-hmm. Not saying that you haven't been disrespected in this league. I 100% agree with you, Brandon. I think he has been. But you don't got to throw a shot at Jokic. He didn't do it.
No, right.
He didn't do it.
I got some news of the day.
What's that?
Pederson. Can we go to Pederson? What's his first name?
Who?
It's Josh Pederson.
Pederson.
Is he related to Doug Pederson?
They tried this in Jacksonville before with Tim Tebow. Remember Tim Tebow was brought in by Coach Urban Myers, played tight end. Well, Josh Pederson is a tight end. Made his way around a little bit, but he is the son of the head coach. Nepotism.
Oh, so he is related to Doug Pederson.
He is. Do we have any B-roll or anything here, Corey? No?
No.
Oh, we don't. Okay, anyway, so Josh Pederson, son of Jaguars coach Doug Pederson, set to sign with Jacksonville. I think he was in a USFL last year, had like 300-something yards, and now he's with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Do you see this as a problem, Ashley?
Well, was he good?
I mean,
or is he good?
He had 340 yards or something in USFL. I don't see nothing wrong with it.
Is this a signing off of potential, maybe?
It's nepotism. Do you know what nepotism is like?
I mean, I'm just trying to give them.
Look, if my son was decent, I would sign him. Why not?
He probably was, on film showing that he can block really well too.
Yeah.
Open up some.
Come in and play special teams.
I'm sure Doug Pederson had to get this approved by multiple people. He didn't just sign him off the street with a napkin like, hey son, come play. I think he had to go through a few steps. But I mean, we've seen this before, right? Like, look at the Knicks, for example. Jalen Brunson, his dad works with the New York Knicks. He's a coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, and actually on the Cowboys.
But he's good, though. Jalen.
I know, but what I'm saying is we've seen this before. I remember when J.R. Smith was playing for the Knicks. His brother Chris was signed to the Knicks. Obi Toppin his brother was just drafted to the Knicks. Not saying they had anything involved with it.
Giannis going to have.
Look at Giannis. Giannis has his brothers and everything with him. Are they good basketball players?
Hey,
probably not.
Listen, in 3 years, Giannis is going to have all three of his brothers on that team. He has a younger brother that's playing overseas.
Right.
So he has one with them already, right?
His brothers literally are doing the skills challenge at All-Star Weekend and get no playing time. Like it happens. I listen.
Giannis should never leave.
I don't have any issue with. I mean,
team.
I know nepotism is a very sticky subject for people, and some people hate it and some people love it. I just feel like I don't know. I don't really have.
There you go. What you think, Ashley?
Yes,
for all of our listeners on Sirius XM Channel 103 Faction Talk, you can't see this picture. We're on YouTube right now, and there's a beautiful picture of Josh Pederson. Does he look like a baller, Ashley?
He's 6'5",
got his veins popping out of his arms.
Now, is he signed, or is he
he's about to be signed. He's going to be signed.
Practice squad signed, or still trying to make the roster signed?
I mean, everybody got to make the roster.
Oh, so he may not even make the team. He's just giving him a shot to try to make the team.
Correct.
Okay.
I'll tell you this: if I'm Doug Pederson, my son will make the team. Tight end, go block, special teams.
But what if he's not good?
Oh, he's going to be good enough. He's going to find a way.
So you're just going to cheat the system.
That's right.
Okay.
100%.
So you're the worst kind of nepotism then.
Oh, yeah. I mean, isn't that what nepotism is?
No, there's levels to nepotism. There's nepotism where it's like you know that your son or daughter is qualified and you're in a position to help them out and you give them an opportunity, whether it's working for the family business or giving them an opportunity in I don't know, music or art or wherever your pull is. And then there's nepotism where it is like you are not qualified in any capacity. You should not even be anywhere near the job description that you have, but you are just there because you have the same last name as your daddy.
But he's qualified. He played college football. He played in the USFL.
No, I'm talking about you. You said that he would make the team regardless. I said, what if he's not good? And you said, I don't care.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because, if he's... the last tight end on the roster, and there's a kid that's better than him. Neither one of them going to play, so I'm going to go with my son.
That is crazy.
Right. So, you the last guy, last tight end on the roster. You're probably going to be on special teams. You'll probably be on practice squad.
That's not right,
So instead of giving it to another kid that's not going to do anything and contribute, I'd rather give it to my son.
That's not right. That's not right.
That's how the world works.
So you're telling me if you had two wide receivers,
yep,
your son is one and Corey's the other, and Corey beats your son.
Why are you doing that, Ashley?
I just had to use you as an example.
Well, that's different.
And Corey beats your son out in
two receivers
in preseason.
He's going with his son.
Are they at the bottom of the depth chart?
They're number 3, third string.
No, 3. You got to play at 3.
Okay, so 4.
You got to play at 4. My
5.
top 4. 5?
Fifth
oh,
string.
Now we talking.
5th string.
5th and 6th.
Corey beat your son in every single possession possible during preseason.
Yep.
The film is out that he was the better wide receiver.
Yep.
You're still taking your son?
Sean, can you go down in the locker room and bring Corey Holmes up to me?
Yeah.
Hey, Corey. Yeah, man. We're going to have to release you today. You did an amazing job. You came in. You worked hard. Really have nothing bad to say. But we're going to go in a different direction, okay?
The locker room will be talking so much crap about you behind your back.
Hey, that's football.
Man,
That's
Brennan,
football.
he let Corey go to sign his whack-ass son.
That's what's going to happen with Doug Pederson.
That happens in locker rooms every
Why
year.
would you want to even put your kid through that?
He going to get a check. he going to get an opportunity. Hey, listen. Hey, family over everything.
That's
Keep the family
crazy.
close.
That's right.
That's nuts. They're going to be talking so much crap about you. Your poor kid's not even going to have no friends in that locker room.
Them
They
people
all
you
gonna
never
be looking
going to
at him.
talk to. Them people that's talking about you never going to talk to.
All
them
going to
after
be
they
looking
leave
at
the
him
team.
crazy. Like, every time he's in the locker room, they're going to bump him and be like, yo, you only here because your daddy's the coach. Move out my way, daddy's
It's going
boy.
to be interesting. Here's a storyline to follow as training camp gets underway here in the next couple of weeks. Tight end Josh Pederson, son of Jaguars coach Doug Pederson, set to sign with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's see if he has it or not.
Let's see. All right, moving on. So this is a guy, we've been keeping up with, but he made some interesting comments over the weekend. I'm talking about DeAndre Hopkins. Y'all, he says he won't stop playing until he's not an 1,000-yard receiver. This was his quote. He says, "I'll retire from football when I'm not a 1K-yard receiver." With that said, I was on pace for 1,400 yards last year. One significant injury in 11 years. I might be playing until I'm 37 the way I feel. Yeah. I mean, Brandon, as a receiver who you went through this, right? There's still, what is he experiencing right now? You think he still can, play at a high level, or is he approaching it? How many more years does he have? I'm like, what are your thoughts on this?
What he's experiencing right now is frustration. The process is different as you get older, right? The Ezekiel Elliott's of the world, the DeAndre Hopkins of the world, they have to wait until they get closer to camp or maybe into camp when someone goes down to potentially get what they want, right? Because when you're post 30, if you have one dip in production, then they devalue you and they use that as an excuse not to pay you. And I wouldn't even say use it as an excuse. They really believe that a lot of these guys, especially at the running back position, I know we're talking about DeAndre Hopkins, it's like that's it. So DeAndre Hopkins, all they're looking at is the last couple years. They're looking at D-Hop like, okay, you were on pace for 1,400 yards, but then you got hurt. And this is the first one. Oh, there's more to come. That's how they look at it. So DeAndre Hopkins is definitely experiencing some frustration right now. He has to be patient. I do believe if he's patient, he will get close to what he wants. He may not get everything. He may not get the best quarterback. He may not get a championship team. He may get the money. He may get the yards. And that's what I'm going for, if I'm being honest. From a business perspective, he has to put himself in position where he can go out there and go for 1,000 yards. Because if he doesn't do that, let's say he goes out there and signs a 1-year deal, maybe. And he has 700 yards, Ashley.
Yeah. Next
year, there's no real market for him. They may give him a couple million, but they're not going to go out there and pay him 20, 30 million to what he believes he's worth and what he probably is worth. I do believe DeAndre Hopkins can go out there for a few more years and contribute in a major way and go for over 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. DeAndre Hopkins, he's like that. Mm-hmm. But what happens when you're on the move, right? Like you get in terrible situations, or I wouldn't say terrible, not the perfect fit, not the right fit. You and the quarterback aren't aligned, aren't on the same page. Offensively, the philosophy doesn't really match what you do. And what ended up happening, your production dips. And instead of them looking at all of the other factors, they look at as you. Oh, DeAndre Hopkins' production dip. We don't care about the quarterback. We don't care about the offensive coordinator, the philosophy. We don't care about the offensive line. You're the problem, so we're not going to pay you. And so that's where DeAndre Hopkins is right now.
Now, you talk about those situations that he needs to be looking for. There haven't been really too many updates in, the teams that are interested. Right now, it's still the Patriots and the Tennessee Titans. Are those two situations, do you think that he could, go for 1,000 yards and place himself in a position to maybe, extend his career?
Can we look up, A.J. Brown, what he did with Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee? Patriots, I'm not sure. I don't like the Patriots for him. I know Mac Jones been working hard to get his career on track, get his offense aligned, and hit it in the right direction. I don't like any of those situations for him.
I got A.J. Brown's stats.
If I'm DeAndre Hopkins, what I would do is go to a situation where I know I'll take a 1-year deal, maybe a little, maybe less, and make the announcement. This is what I'm doing. Here are my intentions. I'm doing a 1-year deal, prove it deal. Take a little less to prove to you guys that I am a 1,200, 1,300-yard receiver, a 10-touchdown guy, a Pro Bowl guy, potentially even an All-Pro guy. And then next year, I want the market to meet me where I'm at. But if you go out there and you force it and you have 700 yards, your career is pretty much done. What is the A.J. Brown stats?
So in his first year at Tennessee, he had 52 catches, 1,000 yards. It was like 1,051, and 8 touchdowns. The next year, 1,075, 11 touchdowns, and then that.
How many catches in that second year?
70.
70.
Then in that third year, 63 catches, 869 yards, 5 touchdowns.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
D-Hop is a lot like me, high volume guy. Needs to be involved, right? He needs to have 12 to 15 targets a game, and that's on the high end. But we're talking about 7, 8, 9 catches a game. So when you look at A.J. Brown and Ryan Tannehill, 50 catches, 60 catches, 70 catches. For a receiver like this, man, you go through withdrawals, bro. Never forget playing for the Miami Dolphins. Before I got there, I was averaging 100 catches, 100 catches, 100 catches, 100 catches. Get there, I'm at 80. Bro, that's the worst feeling in the world. It's like you're trying to kick drugs. That ball, bro, is a powerful thing. You know, then I was able to get to Chicago Bears with Jay Cutler and get back on track. So I don't like that. They're not a high-volume team when it comes to passing. They like to run the ball, like to play defense. So I don't like Tennessee for DeAndre Hopkins. And I just don't believe in Mac Jones. And I know Billy O'Brien is there. And with Billy O'Brien, if you go to D-Hop's. So I don't believe in Mac Jones, but I do believe in Billy O. Because D-Hop had some of his greatest years with Billy O down in Houston. But there was a lot of beef there when they were in Houston. Like Billy O was saying some terrible things, allegedly saying some terrible things about D-Hop and his professionalism and his character. So I don't know if they sat down when he went on his visit and worked through that. But D-Hop should be patient, and a lot of these guys should be patient. You have Dalvin Cook. You have Ezekiel Elliott. Injury is inevitable in the NFL. Guys going to go down in training camp. We're talking about in the first couple of days, you'll see it. ACL, Achilles, this, that, and the other. And that's when you're going to have more leverage and your value is going to increase. So just be patient.
I wonder, going back to something that you said about, taking less, with incentives and things like that. And then if you force the issue and you're not productive, that's problematic. He obviously just signed with an agency, Clutch, I believe, right? Which is something that he famously was one of the players that we've spoken about when we were talking about Lamar Jackson, because DeAndre Hopkins negotiated, I believe, 1 or 2 deals without an agency. And we spoke to him about that when he was here as well. I remember when we spoke about that and that news, and you said that's probably because he's going to try to get as much money as he possibly can from the organization that's willing to pay him. So after what you just said, and with that, where's the middle? Because he obviously wants to get paid.
Yeah.
But you're also in a situation where you're not a young wide receiver. You're trying to prove that you can still be productive.
Yep.
Sometimes people, when you're trying to make a point, are not willing to pay you until you make that point. So where's the end game here?
All right, so you got to sit down and you got to write down your top 5s, right? Like, what is it that you want? And I don't know what his top 5s are. We may have asked him that question.
We asked him. He said a good quarterback.
Yep.
He wanted to go to a winning organization, a winning team. He wanted a organization that had good front office management, things like that. Those were his top 3 things. He didn't give us 5. He gave us those 3.
Right. I would say it's hard it's hard for a player to come out and say money. I would say that you saw this with OBJ as well. I would say that money is on that list, and I would say that all those things matter. But if the money's not right, then a player isn't going to go. Because I'm sure there's teams that he liked stood up and said, "Yo, we want to bring you in, but here's the number." Probably had a great quarterback, front office, and the ability to win, but he said no. So I think for him, he has to be honest with himself on what he wants, and I think he knows exactly what he wants, and I think money's on that list, maybe even number 1, and so I think he waits for that. But the market's going to tell you what the opportunities are, right? So in training camp, when guys go down, if people are still at 10, 12, 15 million, I don't know where his market's at right now. But if that's where people are at, then you have to just jump on whatever's available, right? But D-Hop is looking at OBJ getting anywhere from 18 to 20, depending on what he does. He's looking at, Tyreek Hill at 30. He still believes he's top 5, right? So if I'm a top 5 wide receiver, then I should be paid like a top 5 wide receiver. And that's going to be tough for him to get that type of money.
Now, because you kind of just made an interesting point there. You said, if some guys go down in camp, then some teams need to consider him. But are you suggesting that he might not potentially sign all the way through camp, through training camp this offseason?
Well, I'm saying right now, everybody has their team set, right, going into training camp. They went through the draft. Well, they went through free agency. They went through the second round of free agency. So the way free agency work is the first couple of days, boom, all the big splashes, all the big deals. And then there's the second wave of free agency. So after the second wave of free agency, then you have the NFL draft. So then a team goes in and any needs they may have, they try to cover that through the draft. After the draft, if they still feel they have some needs or some holes, they then go through a third wave of free agency, right? So once you do that, you're pretty much set. Once you get into training camp, you see what you have. So 2 things happening in training camp. This dude's a dud. This draft prospect's a bust. This person got hurt. So now you go and you look at the Ezekiel Elliott's, the Dalvin Cooks, the DeAndre Hopkins, the Jarvis Juice Landrys of the world. There's still some amazing free agents out there. Pederson, the cornerback, what's his name? He's going to get mad. We got into argument in Vegas because something I said. The cornerback, Marshawn Lynch's cousin, played for
Marcus Peters.
Marcus Peters.
Yeah, Marcus Peters.
Like that dude can still play at a high level.
Yeah, he can.
So guys like that are going to have opportunities.
The one who's played for Baltimore?
Yes, Baltimore, the Rams.
The Rams also, yeah.
Yeah. Who else did he play for?
I know. I feel like there was one more team. Raiders. He played for the Raiders too a little bit, didn't he?
Was it the Raiders or KC?
I don't remember. I just remember him mostly.
Marcus Pederson. Can we Google that?
I just remember
Marcus
Peters. I always remember. I just mostly remember him with the Ravens. I can't.
Ravens, Los Angeles Rams, and
Kansas City.
Kansas, not
Chiefs.
the Raiders. Yeah.
Did they win a Super Bowl? Did he win a Super Bowl with the Chiefs?
With the Rams, I thought he won.
Does he have 2 rings?
He might have 2015.
No. Well, who was that in 2015? No, 2015?
He has one with the Rams?
Let me look.
No, he doesn't have one with the Rams. That was Jalen Rams. Well, maybe.
I know. I thought he was on the other side. No,
Might be. He's a dog, man.
he could have been on the Ravens. That was.
He was drafted by Kansas City, so.
Brandon Marshall, Ashley Nicole Moss, Corey in the cut, Woo Out West, BC in the booth, Mander Legend. This is Faction Talk, Channel 103, Sirius XM. Also on YouTube. We're YouTubers. Get in the chat. We want to hear your thoughts, your feedback, your banter. All right? Some of your hate, slang. Jump in the chat. That's where we get better.
Well, look, another guy, and he actually came up when we were talking about DeAndre Hopkins, free agent, who's still looking for a home. That is Ezekiel Elliott. And, of course, he's been training this offseason. We've even seen him pop up on social media. Yeah, to your point, he looks really good. But no word yet on where he's possibly going to go. He had somewhat of a down year in production last year. It was I'm looking at his stats now. It was the lowest of his career, 876 yards on 230 carries. But he's still productive nonetheless. And I have a graphic here, too, kind of laying out some of his career stats. If we're talking like among active running backs, he has 8,262 career yards, which is second among active running backs. He has 68 touchdowns, second among active running backs, and he averages 80 yards per game. That's fifth among active running backs. Right now, who you guys think would be a perfect fit for Ezekiel Elliott?
See, this is the problem, Corey.
Cowboys.
This is a beautiful graphic, but you're setting him up for failure.
You think so?
Yeah, this is the problem when they see this. 8,000 yards, 68 touchdowns, 80 yards per game. Oh my, the wear and tear. He's done.
Done?
Yeah. They ain't looking at this saying, oh, we need to go sign him. They're looking at this saying we don't need to sign him. Too much wear and tear. So, Ashley, you said the Cowboys is the best fit for him?
Yeah, I think you should just come on home. Yeah. I think this is my rationale behind it, because I don't believe that Ezekiel Elliott is a starting running back anymore. Wherever he goes, I think he's going to be a backup running back. Just because of what the landscape of the running back position looks like now, you think across the league, all the running backs that are currently starters, they're either running backs / wide receivers, or they've been in that system for a while, so their pay is already set, and they've just kind of already been solidified where they are. With the exception of maybe like Dalvin Cook, who's on the move, and like there's one other or two other running backs that I'm drawing a blank on. But I think Ezekiel Elliott still fits within the Dallas Cowboys offense. I'm a true believer that I don't think Tony Pollard is a running back that can withstand all of the carries that Zeke has throughout his career. He's a different kind of running back. He's more elusive. He's more like a wide receiver running back hybrid, which is why he was getting as many touches as he was, and he was splitting a lot of the possessions with Zeke, because he is what Zeke was when he was younger. Even so, and also a little bit different than was, because his build's a little bit different. But he's what Zeke was when he was younger. He's fast. He's quick on his feet. Mm-hmm. He's elusive. I think he has better hands than Zeke, though. Zeke was never really that good with his hands, as certain catching balls and things like that. But I don't think he's that workhorse that Ezekiel Elliott is. I still don't think that he can pound, those holes at the offensive line, gets him the way that Zeke can. I don't think that when it comes down to the red zone, and you need someone to just power their way through a defensive line, I'm taking Ezekiel Elliott 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That is his bread and butter. That is what makes him Ezekiel Elliott. I don't see why they can't be a 1-2 punch combo in Dallas, except now Zeke's not running back number one, he's running back number two. But if you look at last season, that's the direction it was kind of going, especially towards the end of the season. Pollard was taking more of those snaps than Zeke was. Yeah. Zeke was being brought in sometimes on third down. I don't see why that tandem still can't work. I think it's only beneficial for the longevity of Tony Pollard, because I'm a firm believer. I don't think we're going to see a massive payday for a running back anytime soon. So you might as well try to maintain the running back you do have. Tony Pollard is how old? 26?
Oh, is he that young?
27? How old is he?
I got him at 26.
Okay, so 26. He's a young running back. You could, if you're able to.
Feels like he's older.
I know. If you're, he's 26. I thought he was older than me, but he's not. Yeah. If you're able to protect him from a lot of the wear and tear that Zeke had in his career, because he was primarily that offense, you can have Tony Pollard for many, many years. Why would you not lessen his load by bringing Zeke back? I think it makes perfect sense.
I got an actual example. What do you guys think about Ezekiel on the Ravens? He doesn't have to be a superior running back. He can split time with Lamar.
I literally just said the Cowboys. Well, I don't know where you're getting the Ravens.
I'm saying, man, forget them Cowgirls. I think he'd be a great fit on the Ravens.
I pretty much just made my point, and you just pivoted.
Look what I have right here.
What's that?
Can y'all see that?
It looks like a purple.
Well, y'all can't see it. It's the Baltimore Ravens. There it is. It's good. No, it's good. We got it. It's good. Yeah, Baltimore Ravens.
That's like not what I said.
You got J.K. Dobbins. That's their young Pollard, right? They like him a lot. Gus Edwards. I mean, I don't know. No disrespect. And Keaton Mitchell, right? So I thought about the Baltimore Ravens as well. That was the first team that came to mind when Corey asked the question. It's because that's a team that plays the old school. Look at Ashley. They have that old school game, right? They want to run the ball. I thought about the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Pittsburgh Steelers, they want to run the ball. Yeah. But going back to Dallas isn't a bad move, right? You're loved in it. You
already know the offense.
You know the offense, but you're also loved in the locker room. You're Dak's best friend.
2-on-4.
Yeah. So the chemistry's there. Leadership is there, right? You need that. You know what it reminds me of, Ashley, when you talk about Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, is Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly what it reminds me of.
One of Coach Payton's biggest mistakes was letting Mark Ingram go to Baltimore. I mean, they were fighting over pennies. Like
that was
$1
one
million.
hell of a 1-2 punch.
Pennies to the NFL.
That was a tandem, boy.
Right, but you share the load, and that chemistry between the two really trickled down into the entire locker room and affected the whole team. So I think it may be a money thing. It might be a money thing. Like, will Ezekiel Elliott come back for much less? That is the question.
If anyone can convince him, it's Dak Prescott. And listen, I will say this. Obviously, for quarterbacks, it's different. But I remember the story famously that when Dak got to the Dallas Cowboys, he wasn't making what he's making now. Mm-hmm. And he said that he was able to buy a house and, an Aston Martin and all these things off of endorsement deals alone for playing for the Dallas Cowboys. And
he's also a quarterback, though.
A quarterback, but look at CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb has great endorsements. Mm-hmm. When Zeke was in his, I'm not going to say his prime, but in his earlier years.
You got a point here.
He was making a crap load of money with endorsements. Feed Zeke, trademarks, things like that. Like, yeah, when you may lose the money in terms of your contract, but when you're playing for the star or when you're playing for an organization that's bigger than just football, there are multiple ways to make that money back. Mm-hmm. And in a way that you may not be able to do if you're playing for the Steelers.
But it's not the same, though, right? When you talk about millions of dollars to thousands of dollars.
It's not thousands.
Yeah, no, there's only a few football players that's really making real money. Like, even like CD, I would be shocked if CD brought in more than $1 million last year.
I wouldn't.
In endorsements. Telling you, it's tough. It's tough out there. Even like the biggest deal that you can get is
body armor and
yeah, but the biggest shoe deal, those deals, the biggest deal you can get as a ball player and things is changing now, but it's like a shoe deal. Our guys are making $50,000, $100,000, maybe $200,000. There's only a handful of guys that were making good money. You had AB had a huge deal back in the day. Antonio Bryant, he was making $1 million a year. Then you had OBJ come back around, and he did like a 5 for 30 or a 5 for $35 million deal. That was like the biggest deal ever. He's beefing with Nike now. But outside of a shoe deal, guys aren't making big deals. Like you talk about like body armor. It might be $100,000, might be $200,000.
I don't think it's that little. I think it's more than that.
I hope it's bigger.
I'm not counting coins, but I think it's bigger than that.
I hope it is. Like, I want them to get their money, but it's just tough. Maybe it's different for the Cowboys. You might be right. Maybe it's just the Cowboys get paid a little bit more, treated a little differently.
Like freaking Tony Romo's still getting deals with Skechers and crap. He hasn't
yeah, but that's
football.
Tony Romo. He's
what
a
I'm
quarterback, Dallas
like,
Cowboys, of the Dallas Cowboys,
right,
and
what I'm
CBS.
Saying,
Face of CBS.
There are a lot of quarterbacks that don't get deals.
True.
Like, I can name. When was the last time you've seen?
Can we Google? Let's see the biggest
I'm trying to think of quarterbacks
earners.
that had the deals. Aaron Rodgers had the discount double check. What was that? Progressive. You had Cam Newton. He had the yogurt. You had Dak. He has Sleep Number. He has Frito-Lay, like chips and things like that. He has the yogurt now. He took that over from.
We're trying to think of quarterbacks just with big.
Dak's getting that bread.
Who else?
Russell Wilson.
So you think a running back? But we're talking about Ezekiel Elliott. So I just typed in Google biggest earners off the field in NFL, and it was nothing but quarterbacks that popped up and some retired guys. Peyton Manning endorsement.
Peyton Manning.
Drew Brees, Eli Manning, Aaron Rodgers, J.J. Watt, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady.
J.J. Watt's not a running back.
That's true, but yes, J.J. Watt was special.
Gronk's not a running back.
He was special.
BC's saying there's no support for him because no one knows what they look like.
Everyone knows what Zeke looks like.
Yeah, but I'm saying like that's probably the big issue.
He's making that same argument that the helmets are on.
The helmets distract.
Marshawn Lynch is up there.
Your marketability.
Yeah, right,
Marshawn earned $5 million off the field, and I don't know when this was published. This article, Eli Manning, $8 million off the field. J.J. Watt, $7 million. Man.
Ezekiel Elliott had endorsement Old Spice, BioSteel.
No money. They gave him $75,000.
He has ownership in Twin Peaks Restaurant, which are
cool.
a
So he
chain,
put up money.
major chains.
Zeke
He
right
cut
now?
a check.
Zeke.
So he cut a
Obviously,
check.
he has his deal with Nike. That trade, he has a deal with a
$75,000.
trading. No, his Nike thing is valued at $2.5 million. BioSteel, $2 million.
All right.
He has his
That might be-
He has his trading card company stock. Zeke has a couple $1 million in endorsements,
That might be.
and he was an
that
early
might be
investor.
equity.
And he was
That's-
an early
you're-
investor in BioSteel.
Yeah, but that when you said that in BioSteel, $2 million, that's probably his equity package. That don't mean he's bringing in cash.
I mean, that's what it's worth, though. So if you
Yeah, but we're
cashed
talking
out,
about-
that's how much you'd walk away with.
Yeah, but talking about cash in the pocket for him to go back to the Dallas Cowboys and say, okay, I'm making enough money off the field to where it makes sense.
I don't know. Listen, the Cowboys didn't offer. The report was the Cowboys didn't offer Zeke a reduced deal because they didn't want to insult him. So I don't think that it's a matter of them trying to lowball him. I think they have a great deal of respect for him. It's a matter of what does Zeke want more? Does he want to try to go ahead and maybe get paid what he thinks he's going to get paid? Mm-hmm. Or do you want to go ahead and play for an organization that you've been in since day one? You have chemistry with those guys in the locker room. You know the city. You know the fans. You're playing for the most famous franchise in the NFL. You have a quarterback that you not only like, that you respect, but you have a friendship with. Sometimes those things are intangible. Then a couple of, dollar signs and pennies. I'm not saying a couple, but
When is that?
especially when
This is his job.
No, I know, but especially when you don't know if you're going to get what you're looking for elsewhere. Because listen, we're in July. We're in July right now. Zeke's not signed to a team.
Yeah, I know, but this is how guys think. All right, let's say the Dallas Cowboys offer him $3 million, right? Mm-hmm. And if a team offers 4.5, he's going to the other team.
I mean,
it's a big deal. Like you only have a short window to earn all the money you can.
Would you go to if you were offered 3.5 to play for the Dallas Cowboys and you were offered 4.5 to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars, are you staying?
I would stay.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. It depends on where the money is coming. Most
guys take the bag. Most guys take the bag.
So you're taking the bag.
$2 million difference. They're not passing up on $2 million difference. $1 million difference, probably.
Okay.
Probably. Quarterbacks.
Well, Zeke, if you want to come home, the door's open for you, love. So Jerry will leave the key under the mat if you change your mind.
Listen, I want to get y'all's thoughts on a discussion that's been taking place on social media, right? So we just learned that Andrew Luck is eligible for the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2024. Wow. So what they did was they wanted to really highlight his stats because he only played 6 seasons, but the stats in those 6 seasons.
He only played incredible. 6 seasons.
Yeah, they were incredible. So through and I'll name some of them to you. Through 6 seasons, he had 171 passing touchdowns. That's 3rd all time in that time frame. He had 23,671 passing yards. That's 4th all time in that time frame, trailing only Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, and Patrick Mahomes. And then a passer rating of 275.2. That was actually passing yards per game, 275.2, and that's 3rd all time, only behind Matthew Stafford and Mahomes. So with this small sample that we got of Andrew, do you think he's worthy?
Anakin.
What's the question?
Anakin.
Do you think he's worthy of being elected into the Hall of Fame?
No.
Just with what he got.
First of all, when I think of Andrew Luck, I just think of that line from Star Wars where he goes, "Anakin, you were the chosen one. You were the chosen one." Right. God, Andrew Luck was supposed. God, it just that will never not make me sad.
He got beat up.
Andrew Luck was the chosen one. He was supposed to be. Man, he was supposed to take that Colts franchise and change it.
Like he protect him.
He was the chosen one. The damn Colts screwed him, man. God.
Well, and then he's also different. He has a book club now.
I like book clubs. What's wrong with that?
I know, but that he's different, right? Like
how is
nothing. I would love to start a book club, but
what books
when
do you
think
read?
about what books am I reading now? I'm reading The Way of the Superior Man again. I'm reading. That's what I'm reading.
Would
now.
you have an all man book club? Like a former athlete book
I
club?
haven't thought that far.
Yeah, you got to figure out who's in your book club. Like, is it
I don't
men
know.
and women?
Right
just
now,
men,
what I'm
former
reading.
athletes?
That's what I'm reading now. But I'm reading. I'm listening to a finance book. So I'm reading a lot about finance right now. I think that's my weak spot in business. And then on the personal side, just developing as a man. So, I usually have different appetites depending on the season and the time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time where I was reading a lot about marketing and branding. Now it's a little bit different. And I hate talking about money. I hate, reading about money, but I have to do it.
What are you reading, Corey?
What am I reading? I wish I had a book to name, but I
You should read The Way of the Superior Man, Corey.
I think I may.
It's pretty dope. You'll love it. You'll enjoy it. And, if you embrace some of the concepts in it, help you in your relationships with women and also your own masculine energy.
What are you reading, Will?
I'm actually trying to make sure I got the title right, but I actually wanted to know if Brandon might have read this. It was a book, I believe, by the name of The Essence of Buddhism.
No, I haven't read that.
No? I'm trying to see if I can find
Buddhist.
it, but yeah, I'm a big-time reader.
That.
I'm trying to look more into just inner peace and just trying to have that foundational piece. Y'all know I always try to stay positive, so it's just right in alignment with what I try to live. But I've never read into Buddhism or anything.
There you go. That's good. There's a book out there called The Awakening. You'll like that. The Awakening by Eckhart Tolle.
The Awakening?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's pretty dope.
Ashley?
I'm reading The Art of War for like the 7th time.
The Art of War. What's
That's
that
on my
about?
list, too.
You ever read The Art of War?
No.
The Art of War is a great book. It was written by, I believe, he's Chinese? General.
I read it once.
It's actually my dad's book. He gave it to me, and I've read it a few times. But there's a lot of like really cool quotes in there. Yeah, a lot of really cool quotes in there that you can apply to so many different aspects of your life. Like, and it teaches things like patience, and like one of my favorite lines in the book is, if you wait by the river long enough, the bodies of your enemies will float by.
Yikes.
Basically, like.
Pretty
Be
morbid.
patient. Like, people always think like karma and things like that's like instantaneously, and you have to seek revenge on people, and like but it's not true. Like, it basically just means the universe has a way of coming full circle. So it tells you to practice patience and things like that. So it's a pretty cool book. If you ever had a chance to read it,
It's on my
definitely
list.
read it.
I read it
For
driving to. I wasn't driving. I was in the passenger seat.
Oh,
It was in the
you driving a
pandemic.
Tesla?
Yeah, right.
To Nashville, this dope crib in Nashville. We rented boats and jet skis, but I read it on the way there. It was good.
Yeah, it's a really good book.
Really good book. I didn't read it 7 times, but
Yeah.
back to Andrew Luck. No, he's not a Hall of Famer.
Whoa, that's not nice.
No, I mean,
he was
he only
hurt?
played six games. 6 years. So you're looking at Gale Sayers. They say he was able to make it. I think he played 6 years. And then you have, they say he was able to make it because of his, like the league never seen anything like Gale Sayers. His speed and how dynamic he was, as a running back. So that's how he was able to get in. And then you had TD, Terrell Davis, running back for the Denver Broncos. He had 2 Super Bowl rings. So basically what they're saying is, if Andrew Luck won a Super Bowl or 2, he probably would have had an opportunity or a chance to get in. ESPN posted something maybe a week ago, and they said, who would you take in your prime? So I'm going to ask you guys this. Who would you take in their prime? Andrew Luck, Tony Romo, or Cam Newton?
In their prime?
In their prime. Starting with Ashley, then we go to Corey. Who do you take in their prime?
I'd probably go Cam.
Okay. Why Cam?
I just think his physical dominance was just insane. Like, when he was in his prime, I mean, Superman for a reason. Just you can make an argument that Andrew Luck's accuracy was better. I probably wouldn't argue that if someone tried to make that argument because it's true. Tony Romo had that incredible spin factor about him. He was able to get himself out of situations. But that physical just dominance, that athleticism of Cam Newton, I think set the tone for a lot of the quarterbacks that we see today.
Yeah.
So I would go Cam.
Okay. All right. Corey?
For that reason that you brought up for Andrew Luck and maybe a legitimate argument for someone that would go with him, that's literally why I think I'm going with Andrew Luck, just because of the accuracy element. And, I mean, you know, as a receiver, you'd like more of a drop back style quarterback, and I guess that's just the receiver in me wanting to go with Andrew Luck. But yeah, it was close. I would say it was an easy answer after you named the first two names, but then when you threw in Cam Newton, that made it a little harder. It's not easy picking Andrew Luck over Cam Newton because Cam Newton, I mean, he had it all special. Like, you know, that year where he won the MVP and, you know, took the Panthers to the Super Bowl. He showed us a lot, and he was really unstoppable, of course, until that Super Bowl. But I think I might have to go Andrew Luck.
Wow, no love for Tony Romo.
I love Romo. You know that was my quarterback.
So that's my quarterback. I picked Cam Newton in that chat, and everybody, well, a lot of people crushed me. And they're like, Cam Newton, you're only picking him because he's black, because of race. I'm like, what? No, I'm picking him because he's the only one that went to a Super Bowl and won MVP.
Yeah.
If we're saying prime and comparing all three of them to Cam's 2015 year,
that's what I'm saying. That's
sorry,
tough.
man.
But I would say in defense of Andrew Luck, I think if he continued playing, he definitely would have at one point win an MVP. You know?
Yeah, so, Tony Romo got full everything squeezed out of his career.
That's
so
Christmas every day.
Yeah.
I feel like, though,
Cam
if we
Newton.
keep it in a buck, Tony Romo does not get the respect that he deserves as a quarterback.
Is he a Hall of Famer? That might be the question.
No.
A better question. You don't think Tony Romo's a Hall of Famer?
No.
Why is Tony Romo not a Hall of Famer?
What did he do? Let me look at his stats. So
he got the Cowboys to the playoffs.
Let me see.
You know? He has some competitive.
Sure, that's not just fandom, right?
No, I'm just curious why Tony Romo's not a Hall of Famer, because I mean he's broken a bunch of Cowboy records.
Cowboy records mean nothing.
No,
it's
at
about
one
league
point,
records.
Well, he does have more yards than Cam by 2000.
But Cam may not be a Hall of Famer.
He also Cam Newton.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you guys wanted to have that conversation, but I really
Cam Newton may not be
that.
a Hall of Famer.
After going to a Super Bowl and winning a league MVP.
Yeah.
Leading the league in rushing multiple times as a quarterback? You don't think that he would be a Hall of Famer?
He may not be. No. I
wasn't sure. It's funny we're talking.
I mean,
about
we're
this
talking about if you pull up his stats.
Yeah.
Who?
Pull
Cam?
up Cam Newton's
He
stats.
has good stats.
And how many years he played and how many years did he actually dominate?
So look,
2 to 3 years where he dominated like that?
I don't know.
Is that enough? It's the same conversation around Andrew Luck.
He got 11 seasons.
11 seasons, and can you go through some of those numbers?
If I'm judging off of passing yards, I would say he started taking.
No, you can't just do that. You got to go
No?
through all of it because Cam he's a dual threat.
Look at Romo.
Oh, absolutely.
Huh?
Where's his rushing? Well, I mean, he started out the gate with 4,000 yards his first year, but I'm trying to find his rushing.
So
yards.
listen, Tony Romo. I'm trying to see where he ranks. Mind-blowing stats. Romo is the Cowboys' all-time leader.
Tony
in
Romo,
passing
13
yards.
seasons, threw for over 34,000 yards, 250 touchdowns, was selected to play in 4 Pro Bowls.
4 Pro Bowls.
in comparison to Cam's 3.
Quarterback
Okay.
stats.
Like, I would say he's a better quarterback, but Cam's rushing yards just blow Tony Romo right out of the water.
Yeah.
Like, Tony Romo had 620 rush yards to Cam's 5,628.
Not only that, but Tony Romo right now, obviously Aikman has a Super Bowl. He had a much better team, a more dominant team than Romo had most of his career. There was only a few seasons that I feel like that team was really a team that could have won, and that was the year the refs screwed us with the Des no catch or whatever. We won't go there.
But
Tony Romo has more
Tony Romo
yards.
isn't even top 20
Tony Romo
in
has
yards,
more
though.
yards than Aikman, Staubach, Danny White, and Don Meredith. He's leading, number 1.
But listen, he's not top 20 in passing yards. All right, so let's go through this passing yard leaders. Tom Brady's first. Then you have Kerry Collins sitting at 20. No Tony Romo in between.
He has
Touchdowns.
a 78 and 49 record on 160 games played.
Doesn't matter. Now let's go to touchdowns. Quarterback. Sorry, I wanted to see quarterback.
I don't know. I feel like
NFL passing yards career. Passing yards, passing touchdowns. Let's go to passing touchdowns.
he has the same completion rating as Peyton Manning in his career.
Doesn't matter.
So basically, the only thing that would put Peyton Manning and Troy Aikman and Staubach is that Tony Romo doesn't have a ring for a team sport.
Passing yards, he's not top 20. Passing
TD,
TDs, he's not top 20.
he's 25.
Okay.
It's like right there.
What else do we have? Passer rating. Maybe he cracks the top 20 in passer rating. Let's see that. Passer rating. Is he there? He's not top 20. No, yes he is. He's 11. 97. What else do we want to look at?
I don't know. I feel like Tony Romo doesn't get the same respect as some
Passing
of those
yards
Hall of
per
Famers.
game.
His numbers are not drastically worse than any of them. In some situations, if you take the ring out of the equation,
Passing
in some
yards a game,
situations he
he's
has
not
better
top
records
20.
than them. All right, I'm looking at current Hall of Famers. I'm not looking at league. I'm looking at guys who have
But
made.
you got to look at where. So
I'm
the guys
looking at
that
the
you
numbers
named
of guys who have made the Hall of Fame as quarterbacks.
during that time. We weren't passing it 40, 50 times a game. So those guys that you named, they were
Peyton
able
Manning
to do that
and him
in
played
their
in the same era.
You got to do that in the era. You're saying he has the same.
He's the same completion rating as Peyton Manning.
That's one stat
I
line.
didn't deep
Percentage.
dive into it, but he has the same completion rating he has the same
Yeah, but
a lot of the same numbers as current quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame that he was in the same era
completion
with.
rating doesn't get you a Hall of Fame nod.
I'm not saying just the completion rating, but what I'm saying is I didn't deep dive into it, but looking just like quick glance, a lot of the guys who are currently in the Hall of Fame that he played in the same era as them, his numbers are the same or better.
I just named the passing.
The only
said
difference
passing yards
is that he doesn't have any Super Bowls.
What about passing yards, touchdowns?
I mean, I have
Passing
to deep dive into it. I don't have enough time to really go into it. Of current Hall of Famers, I'm not talking league.
Yes, these is all time. All time.
They're all in the Hall of Fame right now.
It's not all in the Hall of Fame.
I'm only
but
counting
these is,
current Hall of Famers. I'm comparing him to current quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame.
Okay. You want to compare him to current quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame?
That's the only compare. I don't care about wide receivers. I don't care about.
We're not doing.
I'm only going
Where
quarterbacks.
Receivers come in at.
I'm saying I'm only comparing.
Tony
to
Romo's numbers are okay. They're not okay numbers. Don't give you a nod to the Hall of Fame.
That's why I hate the Giants, because take the two Super Bowls out of the way that Eli has won. Eli's numbers are not that impressive. They're
But
mediocre
you can't
at best.
remove Super Bowls that he earned.
But that's why
Actually, that's not
why
true.
the Hall of Fame is like kind of the criteria is a little because you could have mediocre numbers, but 2 Super Bowl or multiple Super Bowl rings or a Super Bowl ring and still get in.
But that's
If
the
we were
hardest
looking
thing
at
to do
numbers,
is get the Super Bowl.
Huh?
That's the hardest thing to do is get the Super
But
Bowl.
it's
So
a
if he
team
got it, you
sport
can't take it
winning
away
a
from
Super
him.
Bowl.
Eli Manning is 10th all time in passing yards.
BC says, say it again.
Eli Manning is 10th all time
Don't get me started
in
on
passing TDs.
Don't get me started on the Eli Manning stop.
I agree with you there. And then the Super Bowl rings add so much more to it. But Eli Manning's numbers, low key, are really good.
Yeah, like Tony Romo had 34,000 passing yards in his career, and Eli had 57,000.
Right. It's
Like, come on,
no, he's not a
Ashley.
Hall of Famer.
Don't be
Can
a
we talk
hater.
about Cam Newton, though? Can we talk about him a little bit? You don't think he will be a Hall of Famer?
Let me look
Well,
at the
honestly,
numbers.
Brandon-
I wasn't prepared for this.
No, I know. I wasn't either.
Cameron
I wasn't either.
Newton.
Might have to
It's the
retouch
same
this
thing.
subject
Like
again.
Ashley's saying current Hall of Famers. I'm looking at overall.
Right.
Like you gotta. It's about how you stack up. How you stack up against the entire field, but then you break it down into eras, right? Because as a wide receiver, 1,000 yards back then was more valuable than 1,000 yards today, right? So you have to look at eras because the game was played differently. But Cam Newton,
How about
he's
this?
different because he's a dual threat quarterback.
And he changed the game.
I wouldn't say he changed the game. You had Mike Vick, you had Randall Cunningham, you had guys that came before him that did that.
Yes, but I think that Cam elevated that formula that was already pre-existing. if you get what I'm saying. I think that Cam
think-
took what Vic did.
No.
Cam took what
Lamar did.
No. What I'm saying is, well, yes, but Lamar came after Cam.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Cam. Maybe I
Vic is the blueprint. But what I'm saying is that Vic being the blueprint, Cam took that, and all the quarterbacks after him took that and just elevated the game of what it looked like to be an athletic quarterback based on what Vic did. If you get what I'm saying,
Right.
Like they elevated his blueprint. He was the originator.
So Cam's first year 6-10, second year 7-10, 7-9, excuse me, then 12-4, 5-8, 15-1, 6-8, 11-5, 6-8, 0-2, 7. So from what I'm reading now, he had 3 winning seasons out of 10.
Yeah, but what would those teams look like though?
You're the quarterback. That doesn't matter. That's
I don't
the
care
point.
about, but don't give me team. I don't care about team
You
record.
have to.
Why?
Because you're the quarterback. The quarterback is always going to be judged by wins and losses. That's just
the game.
That's the game.
That's why I say you can't take away Eli's 2 Super Bowls.
Yikes.
I'm not taking him away.
I think it's crazy. This is a stat I just found. Cam Newton has more rushing touchdowns than like 8 Hall of Fame running backs.
Cam Newton was the real deal Holyfield, man.
That is actually wild to me. 75 career rushing touchdowns. You got O.J. Simpson that's behind him. You got Terrell Davis that's behind him.
The juice.
You
It's
got,
loose.
Larry Zonka that's behind him. You got Earl Campbell, I believe, that was behind him. Those are like legitimate Hall of Famers.
Yeah, it all comes down to how they view Cam Newton, right? And I don't know the criteria around the Cam Newton in the Hall of Fame, right? Yeah. You know, as a quarterback, his numbers don't match up to the greatest. You know, now as a dual threat, you know, and what he's been able to bring to the game, totally different. But I don't know how they approach, you know, Cam Newton and what he's been able to bring to the game. You know, it's going to be the same thing with Lamar as well. Lamar, you know, I think he's more efficient and he's a better thrower than Cam Newton. But, you know, there's guys that come along that changes things that you have to account for. Devin Hester, why hasn't Devin Hester gotten in yet? He should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer, right? You know, they look at him as a punt returner, kick returner, but, man, the dude changed the game. People were kicking out of bounds before kicking it to him. So
Fair enough, and I think we're out of time.
We're out of time. Another amazing show, paper route. We'll get back to Troy Aikman. The internet went down in this little ass town in Weston. Great town.
Dan Marino's town.
Right.
Dan Marino's town. So we couldn't interview Troy Aikman. Sorry, Ashley. Talk about the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, Ezekiel Elliott. But we'll get back to him. You know, his 8-bear. He's doing some amazing things in business. Tomorrow we'll be back up and running. And I think this little ass town's going to have the internet up and running by then. Should be up and running in the next hour or so. So this is Paper Route. Ashley, Nicole Moss, Corey in the cut. Woo out west. BC in the back. And Mander Legend. See you tomorrow.
See ya.